saw during the floods that the Windsor Bridge had been dubbed flood-proof, and we saw that it wasn't. Will this be...
Well, I think it's fair to say, I mean, ultimately, it's not just about the bridge crossings and what have you. The entire road network is subject to floods, and in particular the floods that we saw recently, major floods. So the beauty with this bridge is that it's going to be 6 metres higher than the existing crossing, and ultimately when you have major flood events, everything gets disrupted. But in terms of this bridge, it is higher, but we've also got the existing challenge in terms of the entire road network. And that is why we have in place very comprehensive strategies around dealing with the flood-prone nature of the road network in the Hawkesbury, and making sure when we do see major events that we're able to see that infrastructure be resilient and be open as quickly as possible after those major events.
How many homes and businesses will be acquired?
So in total there's going to be 21. We have a combination of partial acquisitions and full acquisitions, but I'm going to talk to some of those residents after this, and some of those commercial property owners.
They're pretty upset. There are some homeowners here that are finding out through this press conference, basically.
So one of the challenges is when we make major infrastructure investments like this, we have to do it in a timely and concurrent way because we have seen, and we don't want to see gaming, particularly amongst developers across the city with such a large infrastructure program. If I had a way in which we weren't able to disrupt people's lives to build major infrastructure for everybody, I'd love to do it. And I know that certainly in terms of the impact for those residents, I'm really sorry that this acquisition process has to happen. But one of the things that we want to do is firstly make sure that we support them with the appropriate property manager, we handle it sensitively, and where possible, particularly through reference design, if there is some slight changes we can make, we'll work through that. But I'll meet with the residents afterwards.
Just to clarify, I know this is the news today, there's no toll.
No, there's no toll. It's like the other motorways we're building at the moment in Gateway and M12. There's no toll on this road either.
The story today, the Herald, in regards to Transurban, is a move towards distance-based trolling across the board a potential?
Well, I'd say this. I mean, first of all, Transurban's, like anybody else, can bring an unsolicited proposal to government. I mean, this is a response to a parliamentary inquiry. But I'd just say this in relation to Mr Minns. He belongs to a party which has delivered more toll roads than any other in the state's history, including the longest tolling concession of 48 years and also the highest toll. So, I mean, unlike Labor, this government has put in place a regime to support motorists with tolling concession benefits and at the same time 70 cost of living measures as well. So ultimately, unlike Labor, when he was a staffer in that government, they tunnel funnelled on the Cross City Tunnel. They tunnel funnelled with the Lane Cove Tunnel. So he hasn't got a particularly good track record. And I'd ask everyone to look at the history of the former government in relation to tolls before taking a lecture from Mr Minns.
Minister, you talked about how you're going to be consulting with locals more after this. What are those consultations going to look like?
Well, again, I mean, this is part of the process, so I'll have a chat to them afterwards. The community has to July to continue to input into the project, and that's important. What we did first up was go out with 4 route options for the community to consider, and part of this is, and again, the key challenge is we do want to try and mitigate against property take wherever we can, because I know it's disruptive, and ultimately I'm sorry that we have to go through this. So I'll talk to those residents afterwards.
Do you think it's fair, though, it's being addressed in a public manner rather than...
Well, the point out of it is that we do this concurrently because there's a principle here. We ultimately have to make the announcement jointly because, unfortunately, across this city, we don't want to be giving particularly developers the upper hand in terms of land banking where we might actually build infrastructure. That's why we do it concurrently like this. And I know it's hard, but ultimately we have staff who go out and knock on doors and start to talk to people about the process.